Hi everyone, my name is Emily and I'm the young adult librarian at the Rock Island Public Library. And today I have two books for you that are both available through our Libby app. And Libby is, you don't get as many checkouts as you do, for example, with Hoopla, but there's a lot of different titles available on there, including a lot of manga, which I enjoy. And let's see, I think you can change the settings for your account, so you can either I think you can have some. Oh, maybe it's like. You could set it by time. So if you want to just check something out for 7 days, you can do that. I think the default is 2 weeks, or you can set it to 3 weeks if you would prefer. But if you want to use your checkouts for this month, I think you get three. Like you can have maybe 3 items. You can have more on hold, certainly. But with those, just you have to kind of get them when your holds come in. Or I think there's a way now with Libby that you can say basically like, hang on, I'm not ready for this hold. Let me just wait and get that later when I have time to read it. But first book this month, it's new in English, fairly new from like, last fall. This is Blade of the Moon Princess. And this is by Tatsuya Endo, who is the author and main artist of Spy Family. And of course, this is a story about a princess. And this is one of those, it's sort of like Star Wars, where, let's see, long ago, high in the heavens, the Silver Court ruled over the moon. The three sacred treasures of the court have been passed down from princess to princess for generations. And the people of the moon extol she who bears them as their silver empress. So this is a long time ago, but also in the future, sort of, because in this book you have a whole society of people living on the moon, including this young person. This is Princess Kaguya. And Kaguya, like, her name comes from a couple places. First of all, there's a Japanese story called The Bamboo Cutter, in which a princess from the moon comes to Earth and is raised by a kind couple, including the dad is a bamboo cutter. And she is wooed by different people, different suitors. But ultimately, she returns to the moon, so maybe that's a good omen for this book, because in this story, Princess Kaguya, she is the only heir to the Empress. And the problem here is the crown princess, heir to Fujiya Takanouchi, this is her mom, there too. She has really, over the past few years, made it clear that, okay, you're going to be my heir, but Kaguya has sort of started in recent years rebelling against this. When she was younger, she wanted to grow up and help her mom to do her, various jobs as empress. But now, what has happened is over the past few years, you can kind of see in a montage where Kaguya has been made to do all of this extra work. And in school, certainly in sword training, Kaguya is mostly fine with that. In fact, especially since she went out, was able to sneak out of the palace at one point as a younger person, she met up with some anti-imperialists who were saying all kinds of bad things about her mother. And so after this, her main bodyguard ended up losing an eye in protecting her. And so after this, she basically said tearfully, like, oh, I'll never leave the palace again. So here's her main bodyguard, Shishimaru Sanuki, and he's a formidable fighter. But Kaguya still, okay, she won't leave the palace, but she, as much as possible, tries to get away from her tutors, get away from her responsibilities. Because in not leaving the palace, she is bored, certainly, but also she very much feels the sting of not getting to live an ordinary life. And like when she was young, she would get to go out and play shooting games. And her mom was not as strict as she became later. And in this book, we learn part of the reason her mother, the Empress, became so strict is because her health was failing. And the whole idea here is the Empress, Fujiya, wanted to hang on until Kaguya could succeed her. And, well, early on in this book, literally the first chapter, what happens is, Kaguya gets the news, her mother has collapsed. And the whole idea here is, all right, as a younger person, Kaguya was ready to, yeah, help out, help her mom. And that's fine, like, this is a great idea in theory, but in practice, what happens at Kaguya's coming-of-age ceremony is that these anti-imperialists who have been attacking various parts of the moon, they attack, and Kaguya's mother has to come to her rescue, has to save everybody at this ceremony. And Kaguya hates this. Like, she hates feeling useless. A big part of where her sort of, I guess, she's described defiant and vulgar. But, I mean, her brashness comes from this place of she didn't get to choose that she would be the Empress's only heir. And she's somebody who has worked hard, both in school and at sword training, but it feels like, or it's felt like for many years now, that no matter what she does, it's not good enough. Like at one point, somebody makes fun of her for, oh, you know, you should try to put a little more effort into your appearance, Your Highness. You wear the same thing every day. And Kaguya, as a kid, is like, but my mother, she says it's wrong to buy luxuries when our people are suffering. And, like, she asks her mother for a hairpin, and her mom's like, the worth of an empress is not in her hair accessories. An empress of the Silver Court is expected to fight on the front lines of battle as a shield to her people. You must become a woman worthy of this blade. So, again, in this first chapter, Kaguya and her mom, Fujiya, are dealing with the fact that, as in many cases throughout human history, I suppose, this is a case of a mother and daughter not totally understanding each other. And of course, Fujiya has been keeping this thing about her health a secret. Like, she didn't tell anybody outside of her very closest advisors that she was seriously ill. And Kaguya didn't know, like, why did mom suddenly become so strict? You know, why was, like, no matter how hard I worked and tried, it wasn't enough. And now she knows, oh, okay, this is why. But now she's feeling like, oh, well, I wanted to help mom and it's too late. And her mom, what she does, in recognizing that, okay, the Ume branch of the family, this is, I think, yeah, we get their names at the end. So there's, like, yeah, Ume no Uchi is this, like, offshoot of the royal family. Like, Kaguya and her mother, they're the Take no Uchi. And the Ume branch, they've decided they're going to stage a coup. They're seeing this opportunity where, oh, you know, the Empress is ill. Okay, maybe we can kill her and her daughter, the princess, at the same time. And this is all happening at the coming-of-age ceremony, which, okay, that's not gone off because of the whole attack by the anti-imperialists. And so, in accordance with the special circumstances clause of Article 16 of the Divine Laws, I temporarily grant you Futsunushi, so that you may represent the Silver Court. And this is her sword. This is one of the three objects that identifies somebody as the Silver Empress, one of the three sacred treasures. And in getting this, Kaguya is surprised, and her mom basically, like, she tries to use the sword. She tries to use this sword to fight, but her mom has to intervene again, because the sword, it's really not necessarily for combat in the traditional sense. It is to protect people. And Kaguya starts to learn this in this first volume, but in the meantime, what her mom does is she basically shoves her into this spaceship and says, you're going to go to the Tainted World, which is Earth. It's below the moon. And before she sends her daughter off, Fujiya actually says, I know that being born as my daughter has brought with it some unwelcome burdens, and I know buying you this hairpin doesn't suddenly make me a proper mother, but this is my meager coming-of-age present for you. And so, I mean, of course, these two, at this moment, like, finally have this moment of understanding. Like, Kaguya was struggling to be the heir her mom wanted, and we find, okay, her mom has been working all these years and struggling with poor health, and so we kind of understand, oh, this is why she could seem very impatient. And at the same time, Kaguya, she is a teenager. Like, of course she doesn't always want to do what the adults in her life tell her to do, but now suddenly things have gotten real. Things are very, certainly this is a life and death situation. And her mom says, come back as an impressive woman, the kind who will make your mother proud. And Kaguya is determined to do that, but, I mean, the fate of the Empress is sort of left unknown, because at the end of this first chapter, nobody wants to fight her, even though she's just gotten out of the hospital. Like, she's left the hospital to, like, try and stop this coup attempt. And she says, all who wish to secure a spot in the Imperial tomb, step forward now. Like, she doesn't even have her official sword. This is Futsunushi. But she still can fight. She still has a sword. And so Kaguya, she wakes up and she's on Earth. And she doesn't know anything about the Tainted World, except the very little she's been told. But luckily, she has Miyatsukumaro, and this is her chief bodyguard, Sanuki. This is his father. And he's 99 years old, but he's still going. And his whole thing, he and his wife, they've found Kaguya, and they're going to protect her as best they can. But what Kaguya finds, just literally her first day on this planet, is, those in power, like the nobles of this world, are taking advantage of the people who are just trying to eke out a meager life. Because originally, Earth, its relationship to the moon in this story is, it's basically a prison colony. So if you've done enough crimes, you've done enough bad stuff on the moon, they send you to Earth. But then there are also people who just have been born in this place. Maybe they never committed any crimes. Maybe they're descended from people, sort of like Australia. Like Earth is the Australia of the universe now, or the solar system in this book. And so Kaguya finds, like, nobles stealing food from peasants, and she finally starts to get how she might be able to live up to her mother's desire for an heir, her desire that you be a sensible person, because you can't just go around killing people. Like, you don't want to be that kind of empress. And sure enough, Kaguya is able to protect these people. She's able to fight back against the nobles who are, previously they've been sort of taking advantage of this village where the people are already starving. And by chapter 3, there's just 3 chapters in this first volume, but Kaguya meets this cadet, Mikumi Takano, who is, he's in the Imperial Guard in training. He's a cadet, and he's surprised to hear that there's been a coup. He had not heard about this, because the Ume branch, they put it out there already. There was this terrible anti-imperialist attack. Like, they're not connected. Like, within the media, nobody knows, the Ume branch have actually been funding these anti-imperialists to try and overthrow the Empress. And now they've announced, Princess Kaguya is among the dead in this terrible attack, and nobody knows that she was sent to Earth rather than being dead. So the book is Kaguya trying to figure out how to do what her mother has asked, and learn to become not just somebody who is worthy of being a princess, but Kaguya is already, like, she's spent her life sort of training for this, but now, of course, it was all in theory for the most part. Like, I'm going to grow up and help mom. Now it's like, okay, I don't even know if my mother is still alive, but I want to get back to the moon. I don't want the moon to become like the Tainted World, where there's just all this lawlessness and corruption and people are being exploited like this. So it's a very fun manga. It's an interesting story, and sort of that thing again where it's the past, sort of, but it's also the future, because people have spaceships and things, and like communicators, but electronics can still die. So just because you have access to technology doesn't mean that's necessarily always going to be the case, and certainly that's true for the people in this book, many of whom are struggling, including Kaguya, who goes from being this princess who lives this safe, if somewhat dull and, very sheltered life, while her mom tries to get her to, hey, step up and be ready to succeed me as empress. And then, on Earth, things are very different. Kaguya suddenly isn't even going to be able to get regular access to food, and she's trying to fight these people who have come to kill her, and she's in way over her head. So she has people trying to help her, but at the same time, she's kind of having to figure things out for herself, because she knows, okay, if I'm really going to be the Empress someday, like, I can't die on this dang planet, but also I have to sort of change the person I am. Like, I can't just go on as I've been doing things. I can't just run away. Although, in this first volume, she certainly has to at some points, because it's like, this is not a fight that is winnable at this point. Time to, like, run away and regroup. But in a bigger sense, in sort of, like, trying to rise up and meet her destiny. She's sort of learning and changing and growing as the story goes on. And It's a very fun book. It's sort of, again, if you've read any of Spy Family, you might. I mean, I would say the design of Kaguya is sort of, she looks like Yor from Spy Family, but she's more like Anya. Like, she's somebody who is growing up and is still kind of limited by the fact that she hasn't had very many experiences. Like, she is a younger person and she's sort of seeing the world now for the first time as not just this place where she's been protected. Like, she's been part of this very insular world within the Silver Court, and now that's gone. So yeah, if you like manga, check this out. There's just this first one. And yeah, rated T for teen, but I enjoyed it. And I think, yeah, if you like Tatsuya Endo's current manga is Spy Family, and the anime is out there too. This book was first published in Japan in 2010, but this happens where if an author is big enough, gets big, has an anime of a series, then you'll start to get some of their older works being translated too. So check it out. And next, this is an older book. This series has been out for a while, but I read it, oh boy, over 10 years ago. But I feel like I've not talked about this author at all, which seems weird. Yeah, this book's been out since 2010. But this is Clockwork Angel, and this is the prequel series. This is the first book in the prequel series, The Infernal Devices. And this series by Cassandra Clare, she is the author of the Mortal Instruments series, which was adapted as what I would describe as a very well-cast bad movie. I loved the cast, didn't care for the movie that much, but then there was a TV series that was much more positively received, and so see the first 4 books in that series on the back. I think I read the first 5 in the Mortal Instruments series, and then there was like a collection of stories about Magnus Bane, but there's 3 of these, and the whole idea is it's taking place in the past. This is Victorian London, I believe, and this young woman named Tessa Gray, she has come from the United States because her brother, Nathaniel, he has gotten into some trouble, and she doesn't know exactly what has happened to him. She just knows, okay, he's someplace, I've been sent a ticket, so I gotta go and find out what's happened to my brother. And he's the older brother. Like, as the book goes on, we find he's always sort of been, you know, the golden boy of the family, because he's the oldest child, and he's the son, and he's very attractive. And so he's kind of, I mean, in the sense that you can really sort of be, I mean, yeah, there have been trust fund kids throughout history, and he is the 19th century equivalent of that. Like, he likes to gamble, he likes to drink, and as the book goes on, you know, finally when she reunites with her brother, Tessa's like, oh, I see. I'm seeing this person more clearly for the first time. Like, he's my older brother, ideally he would be protecting me, or that's the idea sort of with birth order and siblings, but really, I've been protecting this person, you know, the rest of our family, we've been helping him out, and we need to maybe not enable this kind of behavior anymore. But in the meantime, when Tessa gets to London, she is kidnapped by these people called the Dark Sisters. And it turns out they are warlocks, and they belong to what is called the Pandemonium Club. And this is how Tessa finds out that she has the ability to change into other people. She can transform. And this is not an ability that a normal human would have. So this is how Tessa finds out, oh, the person I thought I was, that's not actually true. I'm some kind of supernatural creature, and I never knew this. I mean, she's basically gotten to the point in her life where she grew up just thinking, yeah, I'm a regular human person, and she knew nothing about the supernatural, and now she's finding out lots, because eventually she is rescued by Will Herondale, who is a shadow hunter. And these are warriors who, for many generations, they've been fighting demons. And Tessa is thinking, like, okay, so like biblically speaking, demons, like Satan, and various shadow hunters. I think Charlotte is the person who explains this, kind of the person in charge of the Institute in London. She explains that, well, no, I mean, demons, like real demons, they can be summoned from other dimensions. Like, this is something that it's not just like an idea, or as the Bible sort of depicts these things, oh, they're just down in the underworld, they're just, yeah, they're not confined, at least not as much as you would hope. And so shadow hunters exist to fight demons and kill them before they can kill humans. Now, ideally, shadow hunters are also supposed to keep the peace. help keep the peace amongst downworlders. So these are vampires and werewolves and people like Tessa. Tessa is not at first sort of like they're not sure how to identify her. Like they don't exactly know what she is. But as Tessa stays with the Shadowhunters at the London Institute, she gets to know Will and James, or Jem, and these two are, I believe, Parabartai. These are like partners in like learning to become Shadowhunters as like warriors. They're basically bound for life. And Tessa, in getting to know these two, I mean, she's finding out about all these things that, oh, turns out like vampires, for example. Like this is not just a story. This is not just something like a scary tale made up to frighten children. No, these things are a real problem. And in this book, there is a group, like a particular group of vampires who have decided that they're going to kind of shake up the status quo. And so the book is Tessa and her new friends learning about this and figuring out like what's going on. Because this first book, Clockwork Angel, we find that somebody is trying to basically build these mechanical things that can be used for combat. The idea being that, well, okay, things with souls, well, they're vulnerable, but a machine, like an automaton, that doesn't have a soul. This is something that's built, not born, and so maybe it won't have the same weaknesses. So these are like really entertaining books. I was very into these for a while, as evidenced by the fact I read like 9 of them, I think. I don't know, I've not kept up with Cassandra Clare. She certainly has her detractors, and there's like, if you want to Google Cassandra Clare and controversy, there's certainly been that stuff out there in the past, but I feel like, I don't know, this is a book that, again, it's been over a decade since I read it, but I remember the characters and the story fondly, and yeah, this is the time of year where it's very cold out, so if you're looking for something to do, you could do worse than read a long book. Or just start a new book series, new to you, for example. Because, yeah, I think these were also adapted as manga. Oh gosh, Jean, this author who, I don't know, I don't think her name was Cassandra too, maybe though, something in that area. Basically though, she did graphic novel versions of, let's see, Beautiful Creatures. Yeah, I think it is Cassandra Jean. Yeah, did like manga-style art, but graphic novel adaptations of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and also Beautiful Creatures, and also this series. So if you want to read these as graphic novels, I think we still have them at the library in our graphic novels collection. But yeah, check this out. And again, both of these are available through our Libby app. If they're checked out, you do have to put them on hold. It's not like Hoopla where you can, more than one person can have a title at the same time, so you do have to wait. But yeah, I think these are both books you might enjoy. And let's see, winter reading has begun, so if you want to get involved with that, please do. You have until, oh gosh, because we started technically Friday, and this is going to go on for a bit, so I will actually grab a reading log next time and talk about it more next week. And thank you for watching. I will see you again next Tuesday.